Good day, friends. It is the 3rd of January, year of our Lord 2020, and this is the first project of the year. What's the first project of the year I'm working on so far? I do have quite a few in, which is good news, but as you now know, I'm now only doing this part-time. I've got a job working for Royal Mail, and that will take preference over anything else I do. But anyway, let's talk about this guitar. What do we have? Well, I'm not quite sure. It's a returning client, and he does tend to bring me projects, and he's gone and bought this guitar and he's paid £100 for it, and the less said about that the better. I want to pay £100 for it. But anyway, we do have a Squier body, a little bit light, got some dings and scratches in it, but that's fine. It does say made in China on the back plate there, so you know, are we sure it's a Squier? Well, I'm not. And the neck he assumes a Squier. I says, well, there's no way that's a Squier, because look at this piece of veneer on the headstock there. So it's not a Squier, but so it's a no-name neck. But what I love about this neck is, look at the beautiful thick piece of rosewood on there. That to me speaks volumes about how good the neck is, and it's a pretty good neck. I love to see a nice thick piece of rosewood, but it is certainly not a Squier. So what's it need doing? Well, it needs everything doing. It needs a fret level, the lot. It would benefit from a new nut, because that nut sits inside, but he can't afford to get the nut changed, and this is the thing, you see, he doesn't have a lot of money. He wanted to spend £50. I says, there's no way that I'm able to do all the work that you need me to do on this guitar for £50. I says, it's going to need £100 easy, and it needs a new nut, which adds on another 40 quid. He's not having a new nut, he's leaving that one on it, so we're going to leave that one on it, and he'll have to come get it done at a later date. But the thing is, with this, it needs a complete fret level. Well, a fret level with a setup in here is going to cost you 100 quid. That's it. That's it. Just the setup and the fret level. It also, if you look at the holes here, they're only 8mm holes, and it wants to stick some 10mm tuners in there. But we've got an 8mm ferrule at this side and 10mm at this end. So I've got to drill these out, but I can't go all the way through because we need 8mm at the top. So I've got to depth drill these. It means me getting my plunge, not my plunge router, but like my plunge drill or my drill press out. Then I also need to fill in these holes on the back, fill them in and drill new ones for these tuners. Now, you'd be looking at 125 quid labour there. I've told him I'll do it all for 75 quid, but that is the last time I'm doing any of these Freemans. It's because he's been here a few times before. He doesn't have a lot of money, I know that. And every job I've knocked him a little bit of money off, but I can't do it no more. The reason I've gone out and got a full-time job is I can't afford to keep giving freebies away. And I'm not going to give freebies away. I am checking my price list again for this year, and I think I'm going to put my prices up a little bit more. I'm charging for a refret £175, which is reasonable, very reasonable. I'm thinking of putting that up to 200 quid. And still you've got to pay for your fret wire and your nut and everything on top. That's 225 for a stainless steel refret. I'm not faffing about. I was talking to my friend Danny Lint down there in Thringston recently, and he was asked to do a stainless steel refret, and I've been doing stainless steel refrets for 275 quid, and he says, I don't really want to work with stainless, he says. So he just plucked a number out the air and said to the bloke, I'll do it for 350 quid. The bloke says, all right, get on with it. So he did it for 350. So that is Danny Lint's starting point. Down at leicestershireluthier.co.uk. Danny and his wife Natalie are now running leicestershireluthier.co.uk. Nigel Roberts has stepped down, his apprentice Danny has taken over, and it's in good hands. It's in very, very good hands. Nice lad, Danny. If you're in that area and you need some guitar work doing, if you can get in, go and see him. If you can't get in, come and see me. There you go. That's how much I respect Danny and his work. But anyway, this guitar, you see, it needs a complete fret level. There's a lot of frets high. And what I'd normally do with the fret level is I'd take the nut out and we put a new nut in there. This nut doesn't even reach the edge of the fingerboard. It is in by half a millimetre. I'm not doing it. I'm not putting a free nut on there. I'm not doing it. I'm just going to do what he's asked me to do. I'm going to check all the electrics. We're going to set the tremolo. We're going to level the frets. I'm going to drill the headstock out for these tuners. Now let me show you these tuners. They're fantastic tuners. I believe they are Vanson. I love Vanson tuners, but, and it's not a problem, but the problem with these is they have a 10mm ferrule here, but an 8mm bushing at the top. Now the problem with that is it means we've got 8mm holes there, but we've also got 8mm holes at the back. Like I say, I've got to drill them, I've got to fill all the holes in, and it's a lot of work. For the 75 quid I'm getting for doing this, it's a flipping lot of work. So this is, I'm going to make an exception for this one, the first one of the year, but that is going to be it. In future, I would have said with this, fret level, set up, drilling that out, replacing the nut, £150 is what I should be charging for this. He's not having a new nut. It really does need a new nut. There's no two ways about it. I'm hoping I can get away with leveling the frets and just still get the strings over that nut. If not, I'm going to say no, you're going to have a new nut, and I'm going to have to charge him 40 quid for it. I can't do any less than that. If he hasn't got the money, it's going to come and pay me when he's got it, enter. I can't do any better than that. I can't be doing free work now, because time is money with me now. I'm only able to work in this place from 1 PM in the future. Well, while we're getting home from work about 1 PM, approximately, it could be 3 PM. So the hours I do in this workshop are going to be precious to me, and that's the way it's going to be. So anyway, I'm going to crack on. I'm going to get the neck off. We're going to look at the frets. I'm going to check all the electrics and everything first. I shall come back, let you know if there are any problems. And if not, I'll come back with an update. Anyway, one little problem here. Where this tuner hits the neck, it's on the curve. So this bushing here, the washer on the bushing, is actually curving up a bit at the end. Again, not brilliantly thought out, but I've done the best I can on there, so that's it. Anyway, it's going to be an interesting project. There's a lot of work to be done on it, and I'm sure I'll get the guitar playing, well, obviously I will certainly get the guitar playing well. So that is it, first one of the year, so I'll give you a little bit of leeway on this, but after this, you know, bang on with my price list. Anyway, back soon. Moving on just a little, I've done a little bit of investigating, and there are some dates. One in the neck pocket, but I can't read it. September something. Don't know about that, but let's have a look at the neck. Just making sure, see if we've got the same date stamp here. And this is not a Squier body, because it's got the same date stamp in there. The neck has an October 1996 date stamp. The body has a September, but I don't know the year date stamp. Now, just take a looking glass and have a look on there, see if what I can see. No, there's nothing, I can't read what's on there. I am going to assume that this is not a Squier. I'm going to assume that this body and this neck are from the same build, from the same place, from the same company. Trying to work out if this is solid wood. It's definitely a solid wood guitar. You can tell by the grain inside the neck pocket. So I would assume that this is probably basswood. I will assume that. I don't know for sure. If you can tell something from that grain what that is, then you're certainly better than me at it. But then again, I don't particularly know woods. So are these Squier saddles? And is that a Squier backplate? Could be. I'm not saying they're not, and I'm not saying these are both from the same place. It's just we seem to have a very, very similar date stamp in there. Anyway, I do have the neck off. I have also taken off the first tuner I put in there, and now I can show you. Hopefully you can see we have an 8mm hole this side, but at the back I've drilled to 10, and you'll see in there, you should see a little ridge inside there. Now when I drill these out, I've got to drill them dead straight. So I've already started this one off using one of these reaming tools, and you've got to make sure you're dead straight. So get on a flat surface, hold your reamer straight, and just start it off. Things I'm going to be using a drill press anyway, so we are going to get them straight, but that you can already see that's going to be just about right in there. I don't like using a reamer just on this. But anyway, you see where we're going with that. We are getting there. So I'm going to get the drill press out, and now I can show you one of these tuners. There you go, this is one I've just taken out, and you see the difference here. This edge here, this stem is 10mm, whereas the insert at the top with the threaded insert is 8mm. And you know, if I had a good quality drill press, you know, a static one, a proper woodworking one where I know the drill's not going to move, be absolutely fine using it. But mine is, I paid 50, 60 quid for it. I got it from Germany. And we tend not to be as stable. I used to use one as a fret press once and it was not stable enough. It always kind of shifted to the side. So I don't totally trust it. I'm sure once I get these holes just reamed slightly and we'll get the drill central, it's going to go in absolutely fine. But again, I've got to make sure I don't go too deep because it'll be quite easy to pop through and come out through the other side of this veneer. And if that does happen, then we're in trouble. And it's something I'm not charging for. Again, so I've got to be very, very, very careful in setting it up and making sure it's done right. Because if it messes up, it's my fault. Fortunately, I've got a couple of spare necks knocking about, so if I do break it, I can easily replace it, can't I? But I'd rather not have to do that. Anyway, I am going to crack on. I'm going to test the electrics in the guitar, make sure all the pickups are working, get this side of the guitar done first. Then we're going to get this strapped up. And I'm going to basically, in fact I'm not going to do fret level, I was going to do fret level first. There's no point in doing fret level. I'm going to get these done first. If I get these done and I get them done right, I can fill these holes in and then we can move on to the fret level. So there's going to be a day's work in this. I'm working for a day for 75 quid. Slave wages. I'm not complaining. I said I'd do it for 75 quid and I'm really quite happy to do it for 75 quid. I've got plenty of work up there on the board. I've got a fantastic refret job coming up soon. I've also got some great modifications on a Mexican Strat I'm doing. That's having a lot of work. That's 450 quid in them two jobs. Then I've got this one. And I have a, oh dare I say it, I'm calling it a Black & Decker custom. It's kind of a joke in there. Black & Decker are a company that make electrical tools. They're a medium to small price range. You know Black & Decker are. The guitar I've got in is a Rickenbacker, but it's not a real one. It's a copper. And as a joke, I call it a Black & Decker custom. And I'm going to be doing quite a lot of work on that one. That's going to have proper, it's going to be made to look the part. It is, I assume it's a Chinese made one. You know, it looks the part, but you can tell it's not real. I'm going to make it look real. I've got the right parts for it. The man who I'm doing this for spent a lot of money on it. He spent 160 quid. He spent 300 quid on pickups and a stop tailpiece just to make it look the part. And he knows what he wants. And that's going to be a fun one. And again, not a lot of money in that for me, but it's going to look great. I'm going to really enjoy doing it. So anyway, back to this one in question. I do not think it is a Squier. He did buy it as a Squier. This could well be a Squier body. Maybe when I get inside and have a look at the pickups, I'll know. But the scratch plate doesn't look Squier-esque. Could be a later edition. I won't know about the pickups and the electrics until I get in there and get under the bonnets and we can have a look at those electrics and we'll see where we are. The fact that this has got a YN serial number, I don't know what that is, and it says made in China, says to me that this is most likely not a Squier. Do Squiers have a YN? 1996, made in China Squier. Were they? Were they made in China or were they made in Korea? I really don't know. I'll have to go and do some digging and find out. But anyway, that is what I am going to do. So stay tuned and I will see you in the next part. Cracking on, I thought I'd test the electrics. So we're plugged in to my Fender Blues Deluxe. We're in the middle position. We've got everything turned up full. These pots need some attention because they're spinning back. But anyway, this means just the middle pickup should be working. So let's have a listen. Definitely working. That's not working. That's not working. That's just microphonics picking up from a middle pickup. So let's go to this end. It should just be the neck pickup. So let's try. It should be the neck and the middle. Middle we've already tested. Middle and bridge. Bridge only. So the electrics are all working fine. Let's see if there's any tone on the bridge. Shouldn't be. And it isn't. So that will be the middle tone. So let's put it on the middle. Yep. And this should just be the neck tone. So put it just on the neck. Doesn't really do anything. Well, there you go. Master volume. So the middle tone, or this one here, should be neck tone. It's not working. Doing nothing. I'll have a look at that, but I'm not repairing it. Not being paid to repair it. I'm just doing what I'm paid to do, or what I've agreed to do. I will have a look at it, see what is wrong with it. I'm going to take everything out anyway and check the wiring. So there you go. So I'll investigate there. I'll see what can be done. I'll try and work out why this tone is not working on that neck. Maybe someone's had a piddle about in there and we've done it all wrong. I don't know. I will come back and let you know. Go back, and I do not believe that this is a Squier. It's the wrong wire inside here. This is a thin, really thin wire. I hope you can see from here. I'm just not convinced that this is a Squier at all. I'm going to move it out of the way. Also, the screws holding this jack plate in are different to the screws holding in the pick guard. And again, the pick guard, 1 ply, only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 screws. And not the Squier's 11, same as Fender Strats. Also, just noticed this. Oh my gosh, this is awesome. These screws here that are the claw screws for the bridge are poking through the body. They're poking through the body, can you believe that? No, I don't know what this is. Now, pickups wise. What do I know about Squier pickups? Not a great deal, but let's have a look at the wiring. For all a black and white wire, I don't believe this is a Squier. Pots, full size pots, good to see. No name on there. The wiring looks to be pretty much okay. Again, just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 connections on there. The centre one will be an earth. Again, a 7. It's not a Squier. This guitar is not a Squier, I don't think. If it is, it's one I've never seen before. Earth lug down there. Oh, your earth lug's down there. So I don't know. So I'm glad the wiring is staying as it is. I don't know why the tone's not working on the neck pickup. It should be by the looks of this. Everything looks to be wired right. Just needs tightening up. Could just be that. All the connections are solid. I could flow a little bit more solder over there. Everything looks good. I see no reason to believe why that's not working. Is this a Squier? You tell me. What about this 5-way selector there? Have you seen one of these on a Squier? With 7 lugs? You know, the screws poking through the body from the back as well. Are these magnets right for Squier pickups? You know, you tell me. You can see as much as I can. The pots, just big stamps on there. Each there is a, well, both tones are A500s. Maybe a B500. No, I don't know. I think it's covered with solder. Let me just zoom in and you can have a look at this and you can possibly tell me. Can I bring you? No, but bring you further this way. Will this give you more of an idea? No, it won't, because I'm going to get out of the way, aren't I? That's it. It's as close as I can get in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lugs on that. Never seen a switch like that before. I'm not convinced that this is a Squier, but again, I don't know a lot about Squiers, so I'm going to do some investigating. Okay, I've talked with Mark, the owner. The only identifying mark we have on this guitar is this neck plate, which is a YN6 serial number. It's a YN number with 6 digits. Now, Y tells you the factory, N tells you the year 1990 and 6 is the year in that decade. So it's made in China at this certain factory in 1996. But was that neck plate put on afterwards? Or is this really a Squier? Now Mark seems to believe that it is a Squier. Now what's telling me it is not a Squier is that headstock. That veneer on the headstock. I've never seen that on a Squier anywhere. Pickups I'm not sure of. The wiring I'm not sure of. But you know, we're going to take it at what it is. It is still a well-made guitar, whatever it is. I've told Mark it needs a new nut. Also, the tone pot's not working. I says, I'll look at the electrics for nothing if he has a new nut. He's going to have a new nut. I'm going to charge him £30 for a brand new bone nut, which I'm going to hand cut. So again, it's saving a little bit of money there. But that's it. You know, it's going to make it. I feel a lot better about him having a new nut than this crappy little plastic thing that sits inside. Look in there, it's sat inside the neck. That side and that side. That needs to come out. It's a piece of crap plastic. I'll stick a bone one in there and we'll make it all right. So we have upgraded it a little bit. He's spending another 30 quid. It's going to cost him 105 quid. He's having a new bone nut on there, a complete fret level. Going to redo the electrics. I'm going to drill out the headstock for the new tuners, put the tuners on, not even charging for that. And I'm going to give him a great setup. So he's happy. And I've got set treble up as well, which I've not charged for. But that is it. I've no reason not to not believe that it's not a Squier. This nice piece of rosewood of the thickness is right in line with it being a Squier because they did that. But the manufacturing of the neck is not fantastic. Let me tell you where this was built. I've been online just to have a quick glimpse. Tells you the factory. Y equals Yako, which is in Taiwan. YAKO. The second character refers to the decade. N equals 90s. And the first number following is a year. So for example, YN6, which this is in 1996. This form is associated with made in China affinities with standard body thickness of 45mm, which looks right. Looks absolutely right. That is as much as I know. I can't tell you any more than that. Just some dodgy things. The parts in there, I'm not convinced, but it's not. I don't know. You know, I can't say one way or another because I don't actually know. But we do have a 7-pin 5-way selector in there. The wiring is really thin. I'm not convinced about the pickups, but I don't know what Squier were making in the 90s. I would have not touched a Squier guitar in the 90s myself. Don't forget, I've only been doing this as a repair. When we were repairing guitars for small, I was not repairing in the 90s. I was only ever working on my own guitars in the 90s and some friends' guitars, you know. I didn't really see anything like Squiers. You know, we were kind of a little bit more above and beyond that. So anyway, what more can I tell you? I can't. These pots are loose. I'm going to get these knobs off. I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to get these knobs off. We're going to have a look. I'm going to try and get these pots set. I may have to reflow a little bit of solder. That's off. Because these pots are loose. It could just be, the tone's probably not working just because these pots are loose. I've known it happen before. Oh my goodness, look at that. What a mess that is under there. But they're really loose, them pots. But this one is as well, so. Yeah, and we've still got the plastic on there. The original plastic when it was made. No wonder they've worked themselves loose. So we're going to tighten them up, test the electrics again, see where we are. All being well, the electrics will work. Just see what Mark said. Right. Oh, God bless him. Right, it says go ahead with the work. You're brilliant. Yeah, he's going to pay. He's paying for all the work. He's offered me more. He's offered me £20 more than I was saying I would do it for. He's just a cracking lad. He's just been paid. He says I'll pay you. Blah blah blah. Can you do it for this? I said yeah, absolutely. So he's paying me. He's paying me 100. I think he just says he's going to pay me 125 quid. God bless him, he's paying me £120. I'm a lot happy about doing it. I was happy anyway, but that's really, really good of him. So anyway, I'm going to get rid of all this. I'm going to run some more solder over electrics, get these electrics sorted out. I'm going to crack on, do the whole job for him. I'm still knocking him some money off. Knocked him off about £165. Knocked him off about £45 when all said and done. So he's getting a good deal. I'm getting a good deal. Jobs are good, and we're going to crack on. Hopefully I can sort his electrics out. I will come back and let you know. Sometimes it just takes the simple thing to fix a guitar without even actually fixing it. And the tone on the neck pickup wasn't working. I couldn't see why not. I checked the wire and it looked absolutely fine. But all of the pots were loose. So I decided to take the knobs off, tighten up all the pots. As I did, I noticed the original plastic was still on the stems of the pot. So we took all that off, cleaned up all the area, tightened up all the pots, put everything back together, and the tone is now working on the neck pickup. And I'm going to show you. Neck pickup, tone. Middle pickup, same. So the electrics are now working fine. You'll also notice, listen, there's no buzz from the amp. It was buzzing, so don't know what I've done there. Just by pulling and tightening some wires, you might get a little cold solder joint here and there. I've not had to reflow any solder or anything. Everything is working. I can put it all back together and then we can move on. The body will be done then. Just need to tighten up the strap pins, make sure they're all right. Set the tremolo screw springs, which I'll do right now while I'm on camera. And I can move on to the neck. That one to go down there. That wants to go down there also. And this. And once this is all back together, like I say, I can move on to the neck, and that's where the most work is going to be done. So, happy days. Electrical problem sorted. Didn't really have to do anything. It's fixed. It sometimes goes like that. It's a blessing. With the body work all done, we're now going to move on to the neck, and I'm going to show you how. I will try and show you how to safely remove a nut from a Fender type neck. We've got various tools to hand. Main tools being Stanley knife, some kind of punch. We could also possibly use a screwdriver, and I will take my fretting hammer. So I'm zoomed in at the moment. I'm going to zoom out just a little bit just to show you where I am and what I'm going to be doing. First thing we're going to do is make sure we are set nice and tight with the vise, protected each side. The vise set for the angle of the neck, so it's slightly in at this end, out at that end. Nice and firm. I'm going to take a Stanley blade and we're going to cut this edge to see if there's any glue there. There could be glue there. Sometimes if we try and drift these out, we can take a chunk of wood with us. We don't want to do that. So, you've got to be very, very careful. And all being well, we'll just be able to knock this out. Now sometimes you can just go with a screwdriver. It's not quite wide, it's a bit wider than it needs to be. And so you can just drift them out like this, and that's brilliant. It's just fantastic news. The nut is trying to shatter and split. It doesn't matter because we're replacing it. It has shattered and split. Horrible piece of plastic, but it's come out nice and clean. Once we've done that, what we need to do is, if we have the correct files, which I do believe I have because I bought some from Guitars and Woods. I have some nut slotting files that should be the correct width. Normally 3mm, but I've one a little less. They are 3mm file, one there and one there. Perfect. These are a 3mm file. We're going to be perfect. Just for getting rid of all the extra glue in there and the crap. Scrape all that out. We're going to have a look at the nut I've just removed to see that it is a curved base nut, which makes things a little bit more difficult, but I've just had a delivery of brand new Fender type nuts, so that's good news. take a 3mm screwdriver if you have one. And you can scrape out any excess glue that's decided to stay in there. And there you go. And that is, they don't all come out that easy. This one came out really, really easily. So this is great stuff. We cleared all the old glue off there. I'm just going to go and grab some of my stock nuts I just had delivered, just to see if one will fit straight in. Normally they are a little bit wider than the flat base ones. I do have some curved base ones somewhere. Here you go. One bag full of buffalo bone this is. They're not official Fender, but they're as good as. And 9 times out of 10 they'll be a little bit too wide, and that is a little bit too wide. What we're going to do is, or what we will do is, we will get some sandpaper on a flat board, and we'll file these flat, and we'll make sure this fits. They're already slightly pre-cut. The width of this is perfect, so the right size for the guitar, which is good news. I'm really liking the look of that. So that's it, very, very simple. Not going to fit a nut yet anyway. Now we're going to move on to getting the frets level. Just about got enough light left to show you the state of the frets. So, my brand new notched straight edge from GMI, my friend Harris in Greece, made me this. I've seen him work these, I've seen his leveling machine and how he actually levels these. These are precision level, as straight as anything else in the world. It's aluminium. He sent me this as a free gift because I hope to sell a lot of his fret rockers, of which I have one of his fret rockers here. Again, the most precision one I own. It's fantastic. So, just going to show you that the neck is as straight as we can get it. And we're going to check the frets. I'm not going to mark them off, I'm just going to check them with the fret rocker. And we're going to listen for a rock. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 'So we have 12 high frets, or we have 12 frets with high spots. The reason it's wobbling about is I've not affixed it to the piece of MDF yet. I just wanted to do this and get it on camera now before I lose the light. So we have 12 high frets anyway. I'm going to get this all bolted up to this piece of MDF using its original bolts and its original neck plate. Once that's done, we've got it perfectly level. We're going to come across and we're going to level the whole lot. I'm going to level them. I think I'm going to actually go with a radius beam this time because there's not a great lot that needs removing. And the radius beam is going to follow the radius anyway. I'll measure the radius. We're normally 9.5 on Strats. Could be a 12, but I'm thinking it's going to be a 9.5 radius. We're going to get them all smoothed off. I'm not precision doing these, but I am going to recrown all of them. We are right on the cusp of what we can recrown because these frets are very low. I did tell Mark that. I says we're right at the stage where we ought to be looking at a refret. I says, but because you ain't got a lot of money, I'll recrown them this time, but they are right on the cusp of as low as what it'll be. Once we get to 0.8 millimeters in height, I say no, I'm not doing it. We're just going to do a refret. But in this one time, we're right on the cusp. I think we'll just get away with a fret level this time. And if he likes the guitar, once I've got this all set up and done, it's going to play brilliant. And if he likes it, he can go and pay for a refret in a year or so. It will be worth it. That is it for today. I've got to go and pick up my wife from work. I'm not going to be working this evening. It's Friday evening. I'm going to be going out. I'm not going out for a beer, but I'm going to have a drink in. My wife and I are going to watch a movie. Going to have a good meal, and I'll crack on back with this tomorrow. Okay, guys. I'm going to show you my dilemma with frets that are too low, realistically, to re-level. This really should have had a refret, and I did say that to the owner, but you know, he doesn't have the money for a refret. So my problem with this is, I've now levelled the frets using my levelling beam, and we're right. Look at this one. I'm going to mark this up. This one. You've got a flat spot all the way across the top. And that flat spot is 2 mil wide. And what I've got to do is that flat spot. I've got to make that flat spot half a mil wide. I've got to re-crown where it's flat that way across that fret. I've got to re-crown it now. Can't really. I normally use this file, free angle file, and we can do it to some extent. Far side, I'm going to roll the file over toward the camera, and this side I'm going to roll it away from the camera. But the thing is, like that, you see it slip there, and that's what's going to happen, because the frets are so low, it's going to slip, and that makes my job really, really difficult. You see, try and show you here. These frets are more or less flat, and it's so difficult to do. Now, I'm not going to show you an easy way to do it, because there's no easy way. These frets, realistically, are too low to re-crown, but I've got to re-crown them because that's what I'm being paid to do. And this is why I don't like doing these jobs. And in the future, I'm not going to be doing jobs like this. I would say no. So your frets are too low, you need a refret. And this is the dilemma with buying cheap guitars with crap frets that need a lot of work. I'm using my StuMat file now. Now this one has got a long and short cut on each side. Good thing about this file is it will not cut the top of the fret, so you can leave that thin line down the centre, which is great. But the thing is, these frets are that low, this edge of a file is going to try and cut into the guitar or into the fingerboard. Now this is why I tape it up. You can see what's happening there, but that's hardly touching the fret because the frets are so low. So this makes my job a lot harder. See, that's cutting into the paper, it's already cut into the paper there. I can't go any lower than that, and now I'm going to finish off with this file. Now the thing is, this guitar will go back in perfect playing thing. We can't take any more off these frets. They're really flat in some areas, but that's the best I can do, and that's what I am going to do. I'm going to do the best I can do, no more, no less. Get rid of that piece of thing, because when I polish them, that's going to cause a problem. We'll replace that. So you can see my dilemma. These frets are so low. Like I say, in the future, I'm not going to be doing this. I'm going to say, no, you need a refret. Save your money up, bring it back for a refret. And this is where it's a false economy, buying cheap guitars. You pay £100 for a guitar, and you go and spend 30 quid on some tuners, and you want it fixing for 50 quid. It's not going to happen. This wanted a £200 refret. You are much better off going and buying a really good guitar. Go and get something, go and get a £600 guitar for 300 quid used. You're a lot better off. And you might want some fettling on the frets, but you're going to be a lot better off. It's the days of fixing up old beaters are probably long gone now. I think you can get good guitars for so cheap. Why go and spend £100 on a guitar, then have to come and spend £250 with me to have it refretted and get some new tuners, like blah blah blah. And I can almost guarantee you're going to need new pickups. It's a completely false economy. You've got a Squier guitar that's going to cost you 400 quid. You can buy a Fender for that, a used Fender. Not an American one, but you can get a good Mexican Fender for 400, 450, well, less than that, 300 quid. It makes much more sense. So I'm going to soldier on with it. I'm not complaining, by the way, but look at these frets. I've really got my work cut out to make these rounded today. So I'm spending a lot more time on this than I normally would do. I need a rag. I'm spending a lot more time on this than I normally would. And time to me is now money. I now work for Royal Mail. I do this in my spare time now. In fact, I normally do it in afternoons. It's just today, I'm not working today. I'm my job for Royal Mail. I had my induction yesterday out in Leicester, and I start working for them on Saturday, so I've got a couple of days spare. frets are really, really low. The guitar will be playable. It'll play fine. It will last a couple of years, I imagine. But down the line, this is going to need a refret. That's going to cost you 200 quid. That's if I don't put my prices up in the next year or so. See, I'm using double the tape because the cutting that low, I'm having to remove the tape, everyone, because it's cutting each fret. It's actually cutting into the wood there, and I can't avoid that. I'm doing the best I can. End of the day, it's about getting your guitar playable, getting the frets as flush as I can, or as round as off as I can. And I'm going to crack on. These have got to be polished yet. I would charge £100 for a fret level recrown and polish, which you know is my rate for that. This just makes it a little bit more long-winded. It's you know, and these frets are not going to be perfect. I'm going to get them as crowned as much as I can, but they are not going to be perfect. I would like another 0.2 millimeters on these frets. They are down to about 0.6, 0.7. You know, it's not a great situation. They're not going to last long. Anyway, pretty good. We are, I mean, it's got a little bit thicker this because the ends of these frets are a little bit flatter. So as good as I can get it. I'm sure when they're polished they're going to be fine. But no, this is definitely one, and it's not a false economy refretting a neck like this. It's got a lovely, lovely thick chunk of rosewood on there. You know, these refret really, really well. The fret wire I'm using nowadays is 25% nickel silver. It's going to last you 20, 25 years. You know, so, but you see there where it's just cutting into the tape. These frets are too low. Anyway, I'm going to crack on and get them all done. Once I've got these all recrowned, to the best of my ability, we'll come back and get these frets polished and we'll get the guitar put back together and get it back to its owner. At least the owner's going to get a year or two out of it before it needs a refret. I'm sure it'll be a nice guitar, but like I say, it is probably going to need better pickups. It's already had some new tuners. Right, it's as well as some new tuners going on. But you see, at least they are crowning just. These are as low as I would ever attempt. Any lower than this, they're going to refret. I still think a refret's the best solution. Anyway, I'm going to crack on, we'll get it all done, we'll get them polished and I'll bring you back. I have the frets recrowned and I'm just going to slide the neck down just to show you these kind of areas here where the file has dug in to the tape on the fingerboard, and that's because the frets are too low. Once we're hitting the fingerboard with a file, we know these frets are too low. So the thing is, we have got them crowned, we do have them level. It means we're going to be able to polish them up and we're going to get the guitar, the neck playable. It's going to be absolutely fine, depending on how heavy you play. Once you start getting any wear in any of these frets, that's it. These frets are done. The next thing, the only thing we can do now to save this neck in the future will be to refret it. The good thing about it is I love these older Squier necks. We have a lovely thick piece of rosewood. It makes them perfect for refretting. They're really quite a simple refret, but the thing is, today, with costs of everything going up and that, I've not raised my refret prices. I did raise them last year to £175 for a refret, plus you've got to pay for the wire, new nut, and blah 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 blah. So it's going to cost you 200 quid. You do get a setup with that as well, and a freshly cut nut in there. Now normally I charge £45 for cutting and fitting a bone nut anyway. So it is a great price, but I'm almost considering raising my prices again, raising it to £200 for a refret, because End of the day, costs are going up all the time. It's also the amount of time a refret takes. You know, some people say you can do one in 8 hours. Can you really? Can you really do a refret? If I was working on one of my own guitars, I could probably knock a refret on one of these. Could probably do it in 8 hours, but it wouldn't be as good a quality as I'd be doing for a client. I like to think between 12 and 20 hours go into a refret, depending on the wood used, whether it's got binding or whatever, you know. And you got to consider also there's a lot of research goes into this kind of stuff. Not on every guitar, I don't need to research every guitar, but some stuff I do. So there's a lot of unseen things that a lot of things you don't see being done that are done. Not complaining at all, it's just end of the day, everyone is putting their prices up at the moment because it's getting so expensive to do these kind of jobs. Something else I want to point out here, these frets have got some flat bits down this side here. I've already dug right in to the fingerboard there and it's still kind of flat at this end. But I'm going to have to go in with this file. You'll see how it's slipping over straight away because the frets are so low. But end of the day, we've got them level, we've got them crowned. I'm going to get them all polished up. At least they are level, so the neck is going to play great. How long it's going to last, I don't know. In the future, I'm not going to be doing this. If it needs a refret, I'm going to say it needs a refret. You want a refret, mate? It's going to cost you £225. Take it or leave it. You know, in some cases, it might even be cheaper to replace the neck. But at the end of the day, if you buy a used neck, chances are it's going to need a fret level anyway. The best scenario for this is don't buy guitars for £100 and expect to get the work done on them for 50 quid. Nah, Mark is going to pay, he's already said he'll pay me 120 quid for the work I'm doing. He knows it's going to cost more, or it would normally cost more, and that's great, I've accepted that, that's fantastic. But at the end of the day, you'd be so much better off going to buy yourself, go and get yourself a Mexican Fender for 300 quid. I paid £300 for mine, it was brilliant. You know, and we're going to be a lot better than these. We're going to have better pickups, we're going to have better everything. That's my advice anyway. So I'm going to crack on now. I'm going to get them all polished. Well, next part of the process will be to get them all polished. Once that's done, we can get it all put back together, and we might even have it plugged in. Moving on. I'm not 100% happy with the crowning on these frets. I mean, I've crowned them the best I could, but there are flat spots towards the ends, and that's because the frets are just so low, there's not a lot I could do about it. You know, considering the constraints I'm under in what I could do with this, with the frets being so low, I think it's going to come out pretty okay. I mean, I'm just going to polish one up, just have a look and see what it's like. Okay, I've got a lot of polishing to go on these. Just going to basically get the pen off at the moment. When it comes to polishing, I'm going to be polishing with 6 different grits of sandpaper, which I've already got cut up, lined up, ready to go. But these are probably the lowest frets I've ever done without refretting the guitar. Like I say, I would normally not have done this. Frets were too low. But to save the guy some money, thing is, like I said, you're much better off buying a better guitar. Spending a bit more money, save up. No point spending £100 on a guitar than spending £200 getting it right. You know, and that's what he'd have done. If I'd done a refret on this, he'd have bought a guitar for 100 quid and he'd spent £400 getting it right. Well, you got £200 on a refret, you got £100 on some pickups, 30 quid on some tuners and whatever other knickknacks you're going to want. I mean, there's nothing on these frets left. It will play, there is enough fret. The thing is, when you're putting a nut on there, the nut's going to be low as well because the frets are low. I like to, it's not so much I like to future-proof guitars, but I like to give them some longevity, get some years out of it. It's why I use 25% nickel silver fret wire, because you're going to get many, many years out of that refret, and even down the line, even after 10, 15, 20 years, you're still going to get a fret level out of it, maybe even 2. You know, meaning the frets are going to last probably longer than the player. Anyway, so let's get on to the polishing. 6 different grits of paper, 600 grit through to 2000 grit. So the most coarse will be 600, 800, 1000, 1200, 1500, 2000, all marked on the back. Well, you don't have to mark it on the back, it's already stamped on there. But I do write on the back anyway, just so we know what I've got. And yeah, not a difficult procedure. Wet the back of your finger, get on there, and just polish over the fret. Many to do, 6 times many. It's going to take me a while. So I'm not going to film everything, obviously. I'm going to turn the camera off in a minute. I'm going to crack on with this, get it done. I'll come back when we're close to getting them finished, and you can see how they come out. Before I lose the light, and I'll polish the frets, remove the tape, and I think you'll agree that they look astonishingly good. They do look fantastic, albeit a little bit lower than I would like. There's probably 0.6, 0.7 millimeters height left on these frets, but I've done the very best I can do. I've got them crowned the best I can. They look fantastic. Really not upset by any of this at all. Done a really good job. So next thing you need to do, drill out these holes for the new tuners. Should have done that before I did the fret work, actually, in case I knackered that up. It wouldn't have been worth doing the frets, but anyway, I'm sure I'm going to be all right doing that. So I've got 4.5 to drill. I'm going to probably do that tomorrow because I've other things to do today, but the frets look beautiful. Really pleased with how these have gone, even though it's a bit long-winded and a bit of a pain in the ass to do, being this low. But that's it. It's the last fiddly knobby job I'm going to do. Anything like this comes in again, refret. That's it. Anyway, I'll be back later with another update. One of the most challenging parts of this project was, or is, drilling the holes for the new machine heads or tuners, because they have a 10mm diameter insert or stem, and the holding insert is 8mm at this side. So what we had to do is we had to drill 10mm holes this side without punching through, and that created a bit of a problem. But let me just show you how these work. 10mm, 8mm, we separate it, and I've drilled the holes. I'm going to show you how I drilled them, and I didn't use a drill as such. But what we do is these tuners are going to go in this way. 10mm this side, that's nice and snug. 8mm this side, nice and snug, and they are in. And that is how they work, and blah 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 blah. And that is it. And they work, and they're brilliant, and they're going to sit perfect. So let's just show you here. 8mm diameter this side. If I can spin around enough. 10mm diameter this side. So I'm going to show you how I made these holes. And the first thing I did was I took a reaming tool, and I'll take it out of the box. I'll just show you what that is, and it is basically a conical cutter, show like this, cutting blades, and this will help me start off these holes without widening this side. And it's just a matter of spinning, just to make this hole just that little bit wider, just to accept the correct size drill bit, in this case being a 10mm one. So once we've done that, then I would take, now what I could have done is, could have taken a drill and drilled in, but that is very shaky and unsteady. You know, and holding a hand drill, you're not going to get the right angle going in. So what I tend to always do is I fashion a drill, and I would take a 10mm drill bit, I'll put a bit of tape on there for the right depth, and I'll hold it in a something like a vice grip, or a mole grip as we call it over here. And I would, once I've got the hole started, I would start turning this by hand, like so, just like that, go into the depth, and that's it. And that is good enough for what I want to do. I've already done it. The holes are nice and flush, they're the right depth, we've not poked through, and the tuners are going to sit perfectly properly. Now, one other problem we do have here is these holes are misaligned to this hole. It's kind of off over the hole and off not over the hole. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill all of these holes in before I install the machine head. So that's how I do it. It is not the best way to do it. If I had a proper pillar drill, a proper workshop one, not one of these cheap 50 quid ones you get off eBay, but a proper one, I could trust that it plunged perfectly vertically straight without a wobble. Mine tends to wobble just that little bit. I would have done it that way, but this is the next best thing. The owner said to me, I know it's a difficult job and I'm not charging for it. He says, I appreciate you having a go. Just do the best you can. I'm not too bothered about the aesthetics or how it looks, as long as it is functional. The most important part is not drilling through this side, getting this nice and flush. So that works. It's a job well done, and we can now basically get the tuners on and get the nut on. And once the nut is on and cut, we're basically done. Again, friends, I've jumped forward a little bit. It's like I'm like a time lord of sorts, aren't I? And what I've done is I filled all the holes at the bottom that needed filling, filling them with something as simple as cocktail stick. These were the perfect width to slot the holes. All I did is snip the end off, push them in, trim them with my plier, with my fret cutters, fret pullers, which have a perfectly flat base and get right under. So we cut them flush, dabbed a little bit of super glue on there, sealed the holes, and I've re-drilled the holes for these tuners so we go in perfectly. So they are pre-drilled. I've got 3 more screws to put in, which I'm just going to set where they need to be. The tuners are set, they're straightened, and they look pretty good indeed. I would have liked to have shown me doing that work. The thing is, you see, as I now have a permanent job with Royal Mail, doing guitars is something I do in my spare time, and it doesn't take preference as much as I'm not going to drop my care and attention to detail on any of the guitar work I do. But the thing is, it now comes second at this time in my life. So I didn't film that. I've got a lot on today, but I assure you the work is up to my level. Just going to screw this one in, last one, and that is the tuner set. And now, really simple, we don't have a lot more to do on this guitar. I have to fit the nut. I'm going to fit the nut dry because it fits perfect. We're going to get the neck back on the guitar, get some strings on and see where we are, and then I'm going to shape the nut, and once the nut is shaped I can set the guitar up and we will be done. And the owner can have his guitar back today, but there you are. There are the tuners. All set. I'm just going to nip these holding screws up. I can do it with a socket. I've got a socket here, 10mm, and just nip these up. I wondered if these machine heads were staggered, but they're not. They're all the same height. I also have to replace string tree. I was slipping off for some reason. You're not allowed to slip off. Let's get you back up there. And that's it, beautiful. So these tuners are now on, like so. Don't they look good? They look fantastic. I did not fill the top holes. You know, end of the day, more time. It's just a little cosmetic issue. I think it's going to be fine like that. It's not going to alter anything. They look really good. Nice tuners, nice locking tuners. We will get some strings on there in a short while. So next part of the process, get the nut on. Get the neck back on the guitar, and we'll throw some strings on. I'm just going to stick the string tree back on. Only one string tree on this, and it's the one on the treble strings, I believe, is where it was. I unfortunately do not have a spare. I will have a look in my parts box, see if I do have a spare to stick on there. I might do. I don't think I have, but there you go. If I have another one, I will put it on. But that looks brilliant. Considering that, I've said it before, but considering how low these frets are, made a really, really good job of levelling and recrowning those. They look fantastic. So, I'm going to crack on. Stay tuned. I was wrong about a string tree situation with this guitar. I do now remember that there were 2 on there, and I do have 2. And they're back on there because I took one off to get in at the truss rod adjuster using my T-bar. So it had to come out of the way. But one thing I want to show and point out about these guitars, what I love, these old Squier, it's not so much the guitar, but it's the neck. Look at the grain on that rosewood. That is a sight to behold. How beautiful is that grain? It is stunning. Really, really beautiful. And that has always stood out for me, and it really makes me happy to see that. And again, these older necks, look how thick that piece of rosewood is. It's 6mm thick, 5 or 6mm thick. Absolutely wonderful. If I ever need a neck, a good decent neck for a guitar, whether it's Strat or a Tele, I would always go and look for one of these 90s Squiers. You can pick them up cheap as chips. And I picked the whole guitar up just so I could use the neck. And if I refretted the neck like this, I get 110 quid for it probably. I've got one over there with a big headstock, the big 77 style, which I'm going to use on one of my builds, one of my parts casters. And I'm going to rub. I've already refretted it. I've got to take the frets out again because I'm going to take all the varnish off and just oil the neck. But yeah, what a beautiful thing. The grain on that is just beautiful. I love it. So anyway, you'll see that the nut is now in place. It's not glued in, but it is in place. I'm going to get some strings on there and we're going to see how it sets up. Maybe I need to adjust that, not sure. Well, it may be a bit low on this side, but I'm thinking we'll just about get away with it. I hope so, because I don't have any higher than this. We're all this low. But I'm thinking that will be perfect. So I'm going to stick some strings on, see where we are, and yeah, it's going to be a good one. Welcome back, friends. Now, this bench we're on at the moment is a bench I normally use for putting guitars on my neck jig, but it's now become a setup bench, especially for guitars later at night where the light's not quite correct and I can have the spotlight shining down so you can see more of what I'm doing, and this is the case in this one. But I've got the camera set up in a certain way right now, but it's not staying like that. I'm going to move it in a minute. But what I'm going to explain is, now we've got all the work done, I still need to recut the nut. What we're going to do is we're doing the setup, we're doing everything that needs to be done before we can cut the nut. And when it comes to setting up the string action, the string height, the radius on the bridge and everything, the last thing we can do is cut the nut, because we can't do that until everything else is set. So what I've already done and preempted is I've tuned the guitar to pitch, I've checked the amount of relief in my neck and got that to where I want it to be. Once I'm settled on the amount of relief, which I always set at 0.25 millimeters under the 7th fret or the 9th, either, somewhere around 0.25 millimeters of relief around this area, I can then set the radius on and the height at the 12th fret and the radius on the saddles. So what I'll do first is I'll check the height with the 1st string and the 6th string. And ideally I want to be around about 1.5 millimeters above the 12th fret on the high E and about 1.75 millimeters on the 12th fret at the low E. But because I've not yet cut the nut and this is going to reduce the height again, I set this to 175 or just over, about 1.65, and this one to about just under 2 millimeters. Then I'll come and set the radius on the saddles by taking a radius gauge, 9.5 in this case, and we just basically slide that under the strings, and we set, once we set the height on these two outside ones, we raise or lower the strings to match the radius gauge. So now the radius is matching. We have a 9.5 inch radius here, 9.5 inch radius here, and we're going to come and set the radius now on the nut. So again, just a small recap. Set the height of the two outside strings above the 12th fret. In this case 1.65 and 1.9, which is, you know, we're going to reduce that a little bit later. We've got radius set on the saddles. We also have intonation. Well, I set the intonation when I first got the strings on. So now we're happy at the string height above the 12th fret, we're happy with the radius at this end, and now we can go and look at the radius of the nut slots. And what we're going to do is, we can't check that with radius gauge, but what we can do is we can take a feeler gauge, which is one of these, and we have it set at 0.25 millimeters, and I would like these strings above the 1st fret to be about 0.25. So they've all got to come lower. This end of things, I like to be about 0.35 on the low E, and we are well above that. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at the gauge of strings we're going to be installing. We do have a hybrid set here, 946. So we're going to look at the gauges, and that will give us a 9, 11, 16, 9, 11, 16, 26, 36, 46. So I'm going to take my nut slotting files. I'm going to do the 46 first. Now the 46 is this one, and I would like to be have a little bit more room than 0.25. So I'm going to go 0.3 when I get the right one out. 0.3, and that's here. And we're quite high, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this string, and we're going to just gouge or file into the nut. We're going to slightly angle it back. Now these files are not fantastic, they're not as good as I thought they were going to be, and they cost a lot of money, they cost 100 quid. But we only want to do small adjustments just to keep checking the height. So we're going to see where we are. And we are getting there. So we're just going to keep going. I need to wipe the file. Always keep your files clean, otherwise they're not going to cut anyway. I'm looking for a new set of files, so I'm looking at other brands. I've tried a few brands. These Uo Chikyu ones from Japan aren't as good as I thought they were going to be. But there you go. Nice little adjustments. And what I could do, because that's not cutting so good, I do have a Hosco set, and these are sharp, and these have always stayed sharp. And I'm just going to go in with this set, just to remove material. And that doesn't seem to want to at the moment. Nice and sad, there you go. Once we've got it going forwards, we know we're cutting, that's good. And you can see we are removing material with that one. This one, just to smooth it all off. Sometimes you just need to get a good start on there, and let's have a look again. Still go a little bit more, we're not right quite there yet. You always know you've cut because the string flattened or note flattened, so let's have a look again. I think we're going to be pretty close here. Very happy with that, just buzzing. We'll go to the next one, the A string, which will be, try the gauge in a second. That will be a 36, 46 back in the pouch. We'll take the 36 out, we'll see how much we need to come down. Not that much, so we should be fine just with this one. Again, angling back slightly, just to give us a little bit of fall away and point it towards the tuner. And you see how this is working now. Just a little bit high. Now I'm going to explain something about these tuners as well, by the way. In fact, let me just move the camera. I wasn't meant to do that. I'm going to bring in a little bit closer. How's that? These tuners, I'm not a big fan of locking tuners. And I'll tell you for why. Once you've locked them down and tuned them in, if you slightly them off again and tie them up again, they snap. This D string is the third one I've put on this guitar, and these are only a test set of strings. These are not the strings that are going on it, these are strings from my own personal stock. And I've already broken 2 D strings, which is a ball ache because, you know, it's costing me money. I just want to get that out of the way though. So I'm not a big fan of locking tuners, because all they really do, these don't keep your guitar in any better tune than a normal set of standard tuners, but what these do is they just mean you have to put less winds around the pole, around the post. Now I'm a big fan of winds round posts, I always have been. So that's just a little bugbear with me. A bit of a ball ache because I always end up snapping strings. The strings are £1.20, £1.30 a piece. And it's mine that gets snapped, not yours. If yours gets snapped, I'll replace them, free. Just buzzing, there you go. Now moving on to the D string. The D string is a 26. I'm just not going to have it in there, but it's tough. I'm going to have to just kind of hold it out of the way. Let's get this one out of the way there. And we can use that one there. So I do not have a 26 file, but I do have a 24. So what I do in this case is I will take the 24. In fact, I do have a 26 Hosco one. We're going to take the Hosco one. If I need to cut deep, I use the Hosco ones. And then I round them off using
your tricky ones because they're a little bit more subtle, and these cut a better semicircle, a much better semicircle. So we're just gonna get into the groove. Oh, you've got to prove, that's right. Then we're just gonna cut into that. The closest I've got to 26 there is a 24. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the 24, I'm going to cut in, and I'm just going to slightly angle just to flare it open so it doesn't pinch the string. And then we're going to put it back and test it. Beautiful. Now we're going to move to a 0.25 because we're going to slightly gradient down, because the thinner the string, the less it's going to vibrate around here, so we can go a little bit lower. And there you go, it's 0.25. Perfect. So we are exactly where we need to be on that one. We're going to go 0.25 on this one, and these two we're going to go 0.2. Bring them out a little bit closer. And we're going to gradient down. We're going to use our eyes as much as we're going to use measurements, because if this is 0.35, this will be 0.325. This will be 0.275. Blah blah blah. If you know what I mean. This one will be 0.25. This will be 0.15. This will be 0.21. This will be 0.2. So we're going to go slightly down. We're going to basically arc down towards this. If you follow the line of a nut there, you'll see what I mean. So let's have a look at this one. That will be a 16. Now we don't have a 16 blade, but we do have a 17, which is as close as you're going to get. So we're going to just check again. Always check in. Measure many times and cut a little off at a time. So we only need to go down a little bit there, and that's not going to hold in there. So we'll see, here we've got it in there. Don't need to go too deep with this one. And a 17 is going to be perfect for a 16 string. So let's see where we are. I already know that's going to be just about right. Oh, it's still too high. That's a surprise. That's a good thing. That's a great thing. So a little bit more. Nice and smooth, not pressing too hard. And we are now with a bone nut, much better than the crappy plastic nut that was on there. That's just about right. Next one's going to be a 13. Is it going to be a 13? It's going to be an 11, but we're going to use a 13 because it's the closest one we've got. We could use a 10 and flare it. I'm not mad keen on the 10s. I don't think they cut a great semicircle, but these files are better than the Hosco ones for cutting a semicircle. So we've got to go a bit deep there. There you go, snap string again. This is a problem. So what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to cheat. I've got to cheat. And I'm going to cut this slot when I put the real strings on, because once I've done the test strings I'm going to go to real strings. But what I'm going to do is, just in this instance, I'm going to move this string, I'm going to place that string in the slot, and I'm going to measure it there. Still a little bit too high. I'm not going to be putting a whole new string on just for that little bit. So I'm going to take the 13 again when I find it. I'm just going to gently carve it in. And again. Still a little bit high. I do have to take the 13 of the Hosco. just to help it along. Again. Using the one next door. Happy with that? That's good, that's buzzing, that's where I need it to be. And the top E string we're going to go with 0.2. I will check these slots again with the real strings on there, but I don't like stretching real strings on these kind of tuners with the real strings on there, because they do tend to snap if you're piddling about loosening and tightening. These are a once tighten only kind of tuner or machine head. It's why I don't like them, because if you need to change one string, fair enough, but if you stretch another string, chances are you're going to snap one. I'm not a fan of locking tuners, and you know why. And the last one, the 10, I'm going to try and cut it with this one. Just clean it first. Anyway, you've seen a nut cut properly. I'm going to take the 10 will be on here. Each one of these has two measurements on it, by the way. This is 1746, which is strings 3 and 6. This is a 1026, which is strings 1 and 4. But because I need to cut quite a lot into this 10, I'm going to use this sharper file. But I'm going to use the other file just to make sure it's a perfect semicircle, because these cut a great semicircle. Let's see where we are. Perfect first time. So we are now ready for the real strings. I'm not going to shape this nut. I'm happy with the shape it has. The slots are all nice and rounded off. The strings don't pinch. And that's it. The guitar's going to stay in great tune. So we know that none of the strings are pinching, so what I can do now is I can loosen all these off. And we're going to put the actual strings that are supplied on the guitar. This set I've used and no good to anyone now, so we're going to go in the bin. So I may as well, while I'm here, I may as well show you how these tuners work. And it's a good invention. It's just I am not a fan of locking tuners. What we're going to do is we're just going to basically we're going to undo, but we're going to hold the tuner where it is. And this now is a pin inside, then it's dropping down. It should help us, enable us to remove the string. And it's not, so we just have to keep winding until the string becomes loose. And it means that one will come out and the new one will go in. It's still too high. And there you go, it's now let go of the string. We do the same with this one. Hold it with a screwdriver and the string should start to become loose. There you go, you see it snap there, look. And that's what they do. That's why I do not like this tuner. See it snap there, look, I'm afraid. Just like that. That's what happens with him. I'm not a fan. People falsely believe that it gives you a better tuning stability. It doesn't. It just makes you have to put less winds on the strings. Like I say, I put winds on strings. I don't even cut the top E string. I give 5 winds on that one. 4, 3, 2, 2. I'm a big fan of winds round post me. Just turn it back just to get the new strings in. So it can be a bit of a, like I say, a bit of a ball ache, these locking tuners. I'm not a fan. The long and winding tuners. It's that Beatles song. There you go. So I'm going to crack on. I'm going to get my new strings in there. It's a guy. It's actually over 30 minutes, but you can come now. So I'm just going to. So Mark's on his way to come and pick up his guitar. Brilliant. I can put these strings on wise here. Anyway, chosen strings are a Fender set, a 946 set, which is a bit of a hybrid set. It's like a 942 top end, but a 4610 bottom end. Becoming quite popular lately. So you'll be going with a 9, 11, 16, then a 26, 36 and 46. That's it. Anyway, strings are off. I'm going to get these out, get them in the bin. We're going to come on, we're going to install these Fender strings. Once that's done, Mark will be here and he'll be taking it away. And here we are, fret friends, all done. And what a great project this has been. And you know, in slight contrast to what I said earlier about his guitars, if you're ever going to buy a used Squier, go and get one of these early ones because they are solid. The necks are an absolute dream. Lovely, lovely piece of rosewood on this. I can't tell you, you know, in words how good this rosewood is on these necks. A beautiful, beautiful thing. But back to what is not brilliant about this guitar. Be aware of fretwear, because there was more fretwear, too much fretwear on this, you know, to make it the bargain. Well, it is a bargain, but in hindsight, I will not work on a guitar with frets this low again. I will say, look, it needs a refret, and that's what I'm offering, and I'm not doing anything else. So just be aware of that. When buying an old guitar, check the wear in the frets, because if you're too low, you're going to want to refret. Now, fortunately, we were just able to get away with a fret dress on this. We are down, these frets are down to about 0.7 millimeters height. Too low for me. Once you get to 0.8, get them out, get some new ones in. But that said, let's recap what we've done with this guitar, and it's a fantastic looking thing. Now, in the beginning, I was not convinced that this was a Squier. I didn't know about the Chinese ones, and I wasn't too sure, but we went and found out. I've never seen a Chinese or a Squier with a veneer on the headstock, which this one has, and there's no Squier on there either. And that sticker on the back says it's not a Squier neck, so it may not be a Squier neck, I don't know. But the stamp in there certainly is the same stamp as is in the neck pocket, so maybe it is. Maybe that was a shop sticker on the back there. Anyway, let's recap. So, came in, the frets were a mess. We had to level the frets, we recrowned them, we polished them. The tuners, wanted new tuners on there. The old ones though, they were an 8mm thread, 8mm hole this side, 10 this side. So we had to drill into the headstock and widen these without going through, which we did. I also filled in the 6 bottom holes using some dowel and glue. We sanded all that flat so we could drill new screw holes for the paste, because the old screw holes were too close to these and it wouldn't have held the screw, so we had to do that. So the complete setup, the tone knob on the neck was not working, it now is. We checked all the electrics, I've changed the height of the pickups ever so slightly, and we've given it a complete setup and fitted a new nut. For all of this work, I would normally charge you something in the region of £160.
I was charging Mark £105 for this. He's decided he's going to give me £120. So that's fantastic. So that's all the work done. Every nut, bolt and screw that is on this guitar has been checked and tested. The electrics all work. There's no scratching on the parts. The 5-way connector works. And it is all good. I've even tightened the strap pins. And it's had everything. Oh, one thing I did do which I didn't mention. I thought the saddles were too high. So I have shimmed the body end of the neck with using a Fret Friend business card. Of course, what else would I use? Just to shim it a little, just to make it so it can have his saddles just that little bit lower. So the guitar is supremely set up. It's got a fabulous weight to it. The neck, these necks are a dream to play. I love these necks. You get yourself a refret on these necks, you're never going to go wrong. Like I said, as I mentioned before, I have one of these necks myself. That I've refretted, and it is just fantastic. These old Squier necks really are a dream to play. I love them. So there you go. 1996 made in China Squier Strat. I do believe it's an Affinity. I'm not convinced that the neck is the right one for the guitar, or it came with the guitar, just because of the veneer on the front there. And maybe that sticker on the back. There's no Squier markings on there. Was it veneered afterwards? Why would you do that? But anyway, this is Mark at the door now, so I'm going to sign off. This one is finished. So until next time, remember my website, fretfriend, facebook.com/ng17. That's facebook.com/NGONESEVEN. I'm Victor. I'm your Fret Friend. Until the next time, as always, God bless you. Be good to each other, and I'll see you in the next one.